Hello everyone, this is rental real estate for QuickBooks, how to manage your portfolio using QuickBooks. This is part 2 of our video series. If you haven't checked out part 1, that included the company file setup and the initial out of the box, what do I do? This part 2 is going to start working with QuickBooks, and we're going to get into it a little bit more. This picks up exactly where I left off with part 1. So those of you that have been with me, you'll recognize this is the screen that I stopped with. So okay, let's get into it. This screen here that you see represents QuickBooks' very customer or user-friendly way of adding information into its system. And it gives us 3 options here. We can add people we do business with. This includes customers and vendors and employees. We can add products and services you sell. And for those of you who watched part 1, you'll know that we're not selling really any products, but we are selling services here. And we can add bank accounts, which is important to have. Most people have a bank account with rental real estate. So I frankly don't like doing this, and I have never done it this way when I'm setting up a company file. But I'm going to play with it just to see what it's like for you guys. And I know other people that use this kind of like this stuff. So let's jump into it and see how it goes. I'm going to start with this, the first box here, add the people you do business with. And let's get started. So, okay, I know why I don't like this, because it asks you to import these contacts from your various internet-based calendars or contact lists. So you have Outlook, Yahoo, Gmail, and then we have Excel or enter manually. I'm just going to... So I don't like this because I keep lots of people in my contact list that are not important to rental real estate, to my portfolio, and I don't want all of those folks coming over into QuickBooks. I've found that it's easier to, instead of trying to think of everybody now to add, it's easier to add those as we go along. As we continue to work and do business with people, we just add them as they come up, instead of trying to manage and think of and create a huge list of all of your vendors and all of your customers right off the bat. It's just a little cumbersome, and it's a little daunting. So I don't like to do it, but just for this video's sake, let's say wow, this doesn't want to. Just for the video's sake, I'm going to select one and go forward just to see what that looks like. Apparently my computer does not agree with importing from Outlook. Well, let's see what happens here when I do that. So I'm just reading this now. It says we'll ask you which ones you want to add and which ones you want to skip, so you don't have to bring over your entire address book. That's great, but I have many hundreds of contacts. I don't want to go through... that's funny. I use Outlook all the time. It's lying to me. But I use... Anyway, just to get back to that, I have all kinds of contacts. I don't want to go through each of these individually and say yes or no to, but we'll just see what Gmail does. Okay, so this is kind of worthless. Paste from Excel. So, okay, if you had a contact list for Excel, you could export your contact list from Outlook, Yahoo, or Gmail, and then copy paste it into this, and then say if I wanted to select this as a customer, a vendor, an employee. But I think this is worthless, so I'm just going to skip this, and I think that you should too. Let's go on to the next box here. Add the products and services you sell. Let's just see what this wants us to do. Okay, so it's asking us to add what's called an item, and an item is QuickBooks' way of remembering what thing it is you sell. And a thing could be a service, or it could be a product, generally. since we've selected a service-based business from part 1, we only have 2 options, and the one is service, and this other one is called a non-inventory part, which, if you remember our example, was an HVAC company, would be great if you were tracking your inventory that you were then installing in a property. It could also be if say in one of your buildings you have a contractor's closet where you keep paint and other supplies. If you wanted to track that, you could then create a non-inventory part. But again, this is something that as we go through the program and as we start using it, QuickBooks is going to tell us when we don't have these things, these items. It's going to tell us when we don't have customers, when we don't have vendors, and it's going to prompt us, so we make those entries as we're doing it. I prefer it that way, but again, it's up to you. So let's just go through this. We know that we are going to sell some kind of services, so we're going to sell that in the form of rent. We're going to let tenants use our property, and that is considered a service in QuickBooks. So we'll just use that as our example, and we'll get into this non-inventory in part in later video series. So for now, if you know you want to use that, you've got a contractor's closet, you've got a small contracting business, that won't be the topic of this. So let's just go to service and continue. Yeah, see, I don't like this at all. For example, one service that we might have is rent, right? And we could have a description of what the rent is, and then a price. Let's just see what this is. Yeah, I'm gonna click cancel. I really don't like this at all. I think this is a bad way to do it. But if you wanted to go through this way and you wanted to add all of your services, you could do them here, and each service is a different name. So for example, for me, I just have 2 items. I have rent, and then I have pet fee. So we charge rent and we charge a pet fee, and I want to keep those 2 items separate. You might have common area maintenance charges. You might have some other fee for tenants. You might collect an application fee. You might collect you might have a I don't know, you might have various fees for your maintenance calls. You might have a standard fee for a maintenance call, say $95 to come out to look at something if your sink is clogged or whatever. That would be something that you would enter here. So again, I'm going to click cancel. I'm going to come back to this because I feel like this isn't telling the whole story, and people don't really know how items are linked in QuickBooks. So I'm going to click cancel, but if you're the type of person that wants to do it this way and just get it done, you can do what I said. Enter a name of your item. This is a service. It's not a product, so whatever service you sell, a brief description, and a standardized price. Again, something I don't like is that for a lot of you, the price is not the same if you charge different rents, and there's a way to control that in QuickBooks, but it's not evident here, so people can get confused and say they might start entering rent for, 888 Straight Street, right? Unit 1, and then they say, well, this unit is 765. Then they say rent 888 Straight Street, Unit 2. Well, Unit 2 is different. They're at 800, right? This is not the right way to do it. I strongly recommend against doing things like this, but I don't like this window because it can confuse people to doing something similar to this. I'll show you how we accommodate for different rent prices later, but for now, if you were wanting to enter in rent, I would just keep one item as rent, and that's it. Your item can be the same across all properties. So I would say rent, and then monthly rental rate as agreed upon in lease. That is the exact term that I use in my own business, and then you can leave the price as 0. That would be what I would suggest. A pet fee for me, monthly pet fee, that's standard for every property, so that's $25. You might have, what was some of the other ones I gave? Service, maintenance visit or something, maintenance call, right? You might have that too, or some kind of a application fee. Again, I don't use these, so you know, that might, for some people, that might be $35. So those are examples. But again, I'm not gonna do this. We're gonna click cancel. Bank accounts, just go through here. Yeah, well, I'm not gonna mess with that right now either. So okay, that was kind of a waste of time. I'm sorry for doing that, but I wanted to see that. I wanted you to see that, and I wanted you to see that from an accountant's perspective, from my perspective, I don't like doing it this way, nor do I like teaching people to do it this way, because although it's very easy and it's pretty and it's a way that gets it done quickly, I feel that people don't really understand what these things are quite yet because they haven't even started working within QuickBooks. So we go in here, you might not even know what an item is, right? And then you got to go through this, and you got more questions. So I like to just ignore this. Let's start working. I'm done with that. Okay. I'm gonna close out of this. I'm not gonna mess with that. I hate this. What's new is not needed, and I prefer to have my menu bar on the top. So I just move that from the left here to the top, so I can get the most amount of real estate up on my screen horizontally. And then I also don't like starting from this home screen. But anyway, this, now that I think about it, this video is kind of worthless. But let's move on. I'm going to move on to part 3, and we're actually going to start working in QuickBooks. And we're going to start with the purchase of our property. So we're going to make sure that this is before we've got any tenants, this is before we've got any money coming in, this is before we have done any renovation, we've just bought it. So that'll be in part 3, but I guess this part 2 kind of cleans up and concludes from part 1, and I just recommend not using that stuff. If you keep following me in this part, I will show you exactly how to enter all of those things that we skipped, and not only how to enter them correctly, but what they mean, and you'll be good to go there. Again, like I said, if you had just followed those prompts, you wouldn't know how to get back there to enter more. Say you just entered one item, you would say, okay, how do I keep entering items, or how do I keep entering vendors? That's what I don't like about it. So as we go forward, I'll teach you how to keep doing that, and you'll know exactly where to go to get those to do those functions. Alright, I'm rambling now. That's it for part 2. See me in part 3. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, let me know how I'm doing. Alright, bye-bye.